Untitled.com studio inside the Beltway. Best news in the morning. The coronavirus vaccine has begun to be distributed to the public at large in Great Britain. It's not the first people to have received it. Thousands of people have received it. Thousands of people have received the Moderna vaccine. Thousands have received the AstraZeneca vaccine. Thousands have received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. But the key thing is this is the public getting it. And when the public gets it, everybody gets happy because that means it will eventually get to you. There are 20 million doses in the United States, enough for 20 million people by the end of December. So our hospital workers and our nurses and our frontline responders and many of the elderly in our retirement homes and communities will be vaccinated in December. Congratulations, Operation Warp Speed. From the top, Donald Trump, down to the delivery man and the nurse or the assistant in the nursing home is delivering the jabs, as they say. The second person to receive the jab in Great Britain was named William Shakespeare. I'm not making that up. One person on social media, according to the Washington Post, asked if Keenan was patient number one. If Keenan was patient 1A, then was Shakespeare patient 2B or not 2B? How about that? That's pretty awful. Let's check the Weather Center. This is the signal for the Weather Center in the Hugh Hewitt Show, the brand new Weather Center hosted by Dwayne himself. Where's the whiteboard?
It is not here.
It's not there?
No.
The Weather Center is not up and running?
No. I actually did one of the few sporting activities still legal in this state.
So you didn't do a whiteboard?
I went golfing yesterday. Instead of going to a store and waiting to get
matter of
in line to
interpretation.
a store to wait to be one of 5 people allowed into the store at a time to buy a whiteboard.
Well, we're not able to bring the people the weather that you said we were set up and ready to go. Okay, never mind. I was going to promote the after show. I was going to promote the after show and tell people.
Promote the after show.
The universe is available.
I don't
people
spend any
watch
time
it.
on the weather on the after show.
Well, you've got to. People are going to expect the Weather Center to provide the weather. The best gift for Christmas is a membership in the Universe. Universe.com gets you an hour of Dwayne, Grumpy Dwayne, a day at 8 p.m. in the West, in the East, 5 p.m. in the West.
Yes.
And that's Grumpy Dwayne right there. Thank you, Grumpy Dwayne. Go back, Eeyore, otherwise known as the Weatherman. He took the Weatherman meteorologist at night school, and it was wonderful. Now, the news of the day is beyond the rollout. Boris Johnson has got a great victory at home with the coronavirus vaccine, which was produced in the United States, but who's counting? He is off to Brussels to seek the way out of the Brexit stalemate because they got to get a deal by Thursday or there's going to be a hard Brexit. So he is flying off in the hopes of making sure there isn't a hard Brexit. Meanwhile, President-elect Biden has made 2 nominations. He's nominated retired General Lloyd Austin, although it's not official yet. It's widely leaked, and so it's trial balloon. General Lloyd Austin, like General Mattis before him, was the chief of U.S. Central Command, which oversees all Middle East combat operations. So he was third in the line of command before. So now he'll be second in the line of command. President, Secretary of Defense, combatant commanders. So, and there are 5 combatant commanders. Maybe there's 6 now, I'm not sure. But there are 5 at least, and General Lloyd Austin was one of them. In the era of the withdrawal from Iraq, which was a disaster, but that is not his fault. He was ordered to do it. He got it done. It was a pretty logistically challenging exit from Iraq, which led to the rise of ISIS, but that was not his call. That was Barack Obama's call, and for which he will always be remembered as the enabler of the rise of ISIS. But General Austin is a fine, fine general, and General Mattis did a job that was certainly applauded by many and criticized by a few, but he knew what he was doing. He knew the building, and General Austin will know the Pentagon. So he is also African-American, so he'll be the first black Pentagon chief. He's 67 years old. He's the right age. He's been around. He knows what he's doing, still has all of his energy. He will require a waiver, just as General Mattis got a waiver, because there's a bar on former military officers within 7 years of their retirement, becoming the Secretary of Defense, and he is between 4 and 5 years since his retirement. Key thing to know, he's a personal friend of Joe Biden. Joe Biden went to his retirement ceremony. So the President-elect knows his Secretary of Defense. That is good. The second nominee is more problematic. Javier Becerra. Now, I've known Javier Becerra for a long time. He used to appear on my Los Angeles television show, Life and Times, when he was, I think, a member of the Assembly before he went to Congress and before he came back and became the Attorney General of California, appointed to that job, subsequently elected. Now he's going to be appointed to HHS. And the Wall Street Journal opines this is identity health care. I'm not sure. Javier Becerra has been very hard on the pro-life people, forcing them unconstitutionally to post abortion availability notices in their offices, for which he was rebuked by the Supreme Court. According to the Journal, he has no expertise in how drug and insurance market functions. He is lost on healthcare issues repeatedly, and he is, he's a supporter of the Obamacare, but it's just unclear what this is other than identity politics, because he is, of course, Latino. And we will see what happens. I think thus far, among all the nominees, he's the second weakest in terms of political support. I like him, by the way. I like Neera Tanden, who's the weakest in terms of political support. But I don't know. Usually there's at least one. Sometimes there are two confirmation scalps taken by the other party. Andy Puzder was the one taken by the Democrats when Donald Trump came in. Now we have two candidates for that. Javier Becerra might be it, or Neera Tanden might be it. I don't know. I generally defer to the president, who's been, I think they ought to be allowed to staff up any way they want. And then people will vote on their policies in 2 years. There's also a Washington Post story on the GOP's record-breaking success, reflecting a major shift on recruiting, supporting female candidates. That's pretty terrific, too. Ross Douthat has a column in the New York Times blasting the Becerra choice, by the way, if you want to go read that. And the Financial Times has a story on the provocateur driving China's wolf warrior pack. The most outrageous comments come from one guy. I just remind people, he's just a mouthpiece for General Secretary Xi. Don't be confused. He's not out there freelancing. Now, I want to play for you. I played it a few times. Raphael Warnock wants to be the senator from Georgia. He's a radical. He's the most radical major party nominee with a chance to win that I can remember. He is hard left. He's not socialist. He's beyond socialist. He's just hard left on everything. And Raphael Warnock is a pastor, so he preached, and some people have his sermons, and that's fine. There's no religious bar on being a preacher, but what you preach about matters. Here's what he said about the military. Can we find that and play that, please? Because I want to give a... Go ahead.
Nobody can serve God and the military.
So can you play that again? He says, I'll slow it down. Nobody can serve God and the military. Play it again.
America, nobody can serve God and the military.
So he's addressing the entire country again, America, and here's what he says. One more time.
America, nobody can serve God and the military.
So the New York Times rushed to his defense last night in a story that said, no one can serve God in the military is a theme that has roots in biblical passages. That's a quote. Now that would be a surprise to King David, right? That no one can serve God in the military. Peter Beinart, man on the left, who I've known for a long time, like Peter, we've debated a few times, fired back on Twitter. You mean King David, who wasn't allowed to build the temple because he had shed blood? To which I replied, so are you saying King David did not serve God? Run with that, Peter. To which he replied, of course he served God, just saying there's a recognition, at least in Jewish tradition, of the tension between his militarism and the requirements of holiness. Now, I told him, look, I don't know what's in Jewish tradition. I know that a whole bunch of men of God and women of God have served in the military from the beginning of time and in Scripture. But they're not backing down and they're saying it's not radical. I would just like to know what Georgians and others, if you're a pastor, is it possible to serve God in the military if you're a soldier who's a believer? Because Raphael Warnock says no, and I say yes, and it's a big issue in Georgia. Stay tuned. It's the Hugh Hewitt Show.